Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by a very special guest, sophomore from the Colgate hockey team and San Jose Sharks draft pick. Alex Young joins the podcast today. Alex, thank you so much for coming on, and how's everything going?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Things are going good here. Just in the middle of the Thanksgiving break right now, so a little less on the school schedule, which is nice. A little more time to relax. Yeah, things are going well.
Yeah, do you have any Thanksgiving plans with your teammates, or is it kind of just hanging out by yourself in your dorm room?
Team's going to have a nice Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow night. We've just been hanging out together as a team all week, though, so it's been pretty fun.
That's awesome to hear. Well, I want to kind of get into the hockey side of things to start off this podcast. So, you recently had two games against Yale and Brown last weekend. So, talk about those games and what did you take away from them, from your perspective?
I thought they're pretty good games. Our team played really well. We obviously didn't let in a goal all weekend, which was a pretty big achievement. I think we just played strong throughout the entire game and kind of learned how to hold a lead. We lost a couple of games earlier in the season where we were winning by whether it be a small or large margin and ended up losing after holding or losing the lead. So being able to hold teams off and not letting them come back from when they're behind is something that we have been trying to work on after losing those games earlier in the year. So I think we were really good in that department.
Yeah, and how would you evaluate your team's performance so far this season? Because to me, it seems like your team is much better than your record indicates. Because, like you were saying, you had really close games against Western Michigan, Arizona State, and Merrimack, which are games your team could have won, but unfortunately, just didn't get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, right now I think we're 8-7. A couple of those have been overtime losses. And yeah, like you said, like just had close games. We played Western Michigan twice, and we were up 5-0, and then they came back and won 6-5. A couple unlucky bounces on some of their goals, but yeah, I think we're really strong this year. We've played really well against some tough opponents, and I think we just keep getting better every week, and it's really going to show once we get down towards the end of the season and playoff time. I think we have a really good shot at just winning a bunch of games and going far.
Yeah, how do you bounce back from a tough loss like that against Western Michigan? Like, what's the message in the locker room?
Well, the boys know we played well. They're a pretty good team. We're able to play right with them. Just unfortunate to, you know, be up 5-0 and then have them come back like that and win the game. So I think we played them the next day. We just had to quickly reset and, not think about that game because it's a new day, brand new game, and just come back hard for another game the next day.
Now, you have a game against UConn coming up. So, how are you preparing for that game, especially since your team has never played UConn before?
Pretty much just like any other game. It's kind of weird. We're only playing one game on the weekend, where every weekend so far we've had back-to-back games. Yeah, I mean, just regular pre-scouting, I guess, and going up to play them. I mean, just going to be ready for a hard game and hopefully get 2 points against them.
Yeah, and we were talking about this a little bit before the recording, but last season your team only played three teams in your conference. However, this season you get to play some out-of-conference games, and you got to play the Ivy League teams as well. So how cool is it to play other competition, and does your approach change at all playing those other teams compared to last season, preparing for those opponents?
I think it's been a lot of fun playing against other teams and just teams like ASU, Merrimack, all the Ivy League teams as well that we've played so far. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, last year only playing against Clarkson, Quinnipiac, and St. Lawrence, it got a little old, and the games were like really tight, really rough. It was creating some big rivalries. So it's been a lot of fun this year, and being able to go visit and just be on the campus of like Harvard and Dartmouth, the Ivy League teams that we visited so far. It's been a pretty cool experience, and I think it's just been a little easier. You don't have to prepare for the same stuff each game. A little bit of breath of fresh air going against different opponents each weekend. So it's been pretty fun.
What's been the best road arena you've played at so far?
We played our first game of the season against RIT, and they had a pretty loud student section. I don't know what they call it. They call it like the hockey corner right behind the opposing team's net. So it was pretty loud, and I think that was our home opener as well. So all the students came out to cheer for them. That was a pretty good experience, and it was fun. That was the first game back after a whole season of no fans, and it was just pretty electric, and I really loved it.
Yeah, what's it like playing in front of fans this season? And does that make you, I guess, does that change like your motivation throughout the game? Because you're obviously motivated in playing any hockey game, but the fans just add kind of another aspect to it.
Yeah, the fans are huge, and missing them last year. I guess it was my freshman season, so I didn't really know what it was like playing in college with fans to begin with. But just to be playing in front of fans again it's awesome, and I love just hearing when there's a big hit or a big goal, just the crowd roaring after you score, and just having that extra energy playing in front of fans gives everyone a huge boost. And we really missed it last year, so it's great to have them back.
Now, since you are playing some out of conference teams, my question to you is the style of playing ECAC teams different than playing other teams like in hockey? Is the style of play similar or is it much different? And how do you prepare for that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit different. Just from last year, always playing the same three teams. It was like always a hard, rough game. You'd be prepared to have just a lot of bumps and bruises after the game. And this year, playing against different teams like ASU, Merrimack, stuff like that, it's obviously like they're not as uh, like grinding of games, but they're still pretty tough. But it's good to see the different amount of skill versus grit compared to different leagues like Hockey East or NCHC, and see how they compare throughout the different leagues. But all of them, they're all pretty high quality and tough to play against, and it's hard to get a win against any team in the league.
Now, I want to transition a little bit and talk about your off season. So, how was your off season, and did you do anything interesting, whether it was hockey related or non hockey related?
Yeah, off season was pretty good. Just been training quite a bit. Actually trained with three players that are on Colgate currently, including, well, actually four, but one of them is playing in Switzerland this season. His name's Evan Schumi. He was a senior last year. And then obviously trained with my older brother, Colton, who's on my team, and then Josh McKechnie, who's a graduate student on our team this year. Trained with them back in Calgary. And then I guess I went to Kananaskis for a weekend with my girlfriend and up in the mountains in Alberta. That was a pretty cool experience and it was a lot of fun. Went on a couple nice bike rides and just great area.
Yeah, I've always wanted to visit Banff National Park. I know that's kind of the main one in Alberta, but what's the best hiking trail or bike trail that you've have you done in Alberta? Because there seems like there's so many cool mountains there.
Probably just the Bow Valley Trail, which is kind of runs through Banff and Canmore, which I played junior. Just right through all the Rocky Mountains and just some beautiful rivers and waterfalls up there as well. It's a great place to go visit.
No, overall, how did training go this past off season, and are you seeing improvements in your game this year because of the training you did this off season?
Yeah, for sure. Just being able, like the season before heading into my freshman year here, a lot of things weren't really open, and training, just gyms in general, were pretty shut down for the pandemic. So it's hard to get a full summer of training in. You could do things on your own and do whatever you could, at home or in small groups. But it was huge to have a full season training this year, and I can really feel it just in practice and in games. Just that extra strength from working out all last summer and extra quickness and stuff like that. And just overall whole freshman year under my belt, being able to come back and have that year of experience has been a huge help this year.
Now, what is one area of your game you're hoping to improve on this season?
I think something that I've noticed recently is just I've been stopping my feet whenever I'm entering the offensive zone, and there's been a lot more times where I could just be driving the net and try to, I don't know, just jam one home. So I think just keep my feet moving, trying to drive around defensemen and not be coming in so flat-footed.
Now, did you face any challenges preparing for this season? Because I know the previous off season, there was a lot of challenge that all the players that I've talked to had to face because ice time was hard to find and gyms are closed. Did you face similar challenges for this off season, and how did you handle them?
Yeah, I guess a little more towards the beginning of the summer in the early months like June and a little bit into July, where up in Calgary the pandemic was still, pretty Like there was still on lockdown and a lot of restrictions, so it was hard to find ice then. And then it picked up a lot in July and August, where I was skating like almost every day of the week and in the gym most weekdays. So the challenges, I guess, were more towards the beginning of the summer, and then after that, things were pretty back to normal. And then yeah, things were smooth sailing after that.
Did that change your approach for this offseason once things were starting to open back up? Like, I know for last year, your approach had to change significantly because things were closed. But now with things kind of opening back up towards the middle of your offseason, did your mindset change at all, or was it kind of the same thing as last year?
I mean, yeah, my mindset, I'm always trying to have it as trying to be the best that I can and trying to get better every day. Whether it's, just working out at home or going to the local field or being in a gym with a bunch of other players around you that are training. But I think the mindset, it definitely was more of a professional mindset and trying to be like just getting ready for the season because there's no uncertainty really. Like last year we were uncertain about whether we would even be playing any games. So this year it was more of like getting dialed in and knowing that like things are happening and set dates are already happening, the schedule's already out. So just getting prepared for everything and trying to be ready for day one.
So I want to transition now and talk about the beginning of your hockey career and work all the way up to where you are now with Colgate. So you're from Calgary, Alberta. Talk about growing up there and how did you start playing hockey?
Yeah, growing up in Calgary. So I have an older brother, Colton, who I mentioned. He is 3 years older than me. And then I've also got a younger brother who is back playing in Kenmore in the AJHL this season. Two younger sisters as well. So big family, a big hockey family. My dad and mom got us out on the ice very young, just at a local pond. We were 2 and 3 years old. They put some skates on us and they were just holding us up. We couldn't stand by ourselves, but just pushing us out there. And then just going into like a learn to skate program. And then we just all really liked it and fell in love with the game and kept playing all the way up until we are now. But yeah, just having my three brothers and my dad, who really was the one who got us into the sport, and just having my two brothers being able to compete against them, and the three of us always playing just on our backyard rink or in the basement playing mini six. That was something that really made me love the game.
Now, I assume you have some cool backyard rink stories with your siblings, competing with them every day. Any stories you want to mention? Because I feel like there's got to be a few.
Yeah, just I guess a lot of you know one-on-one games, some couple fights, a little broken windows, missing the net, hitting the side of the house. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun growing up with them, and yeah, we would always compete against each other.
Now, who was your favorite player growing up? Was it someone on the Calgary Flames, or was it a player from another NHL team?
Yeah, I was Jerome McGinley for the Flames, and we would go to probably like 10 or so Flames games every season, which was really awesome. Really thankful that my parents were able to, take me there, me and my brothers, and we'd be able to go watch the Flames play. And just all three of the boys in my family, we loved Jerome McGinley, and everybody in Calgary did at the time too. And he recently got inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, he was my favorite player growing up.
Yeah, no, I just saw that he got inducted in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I'm from Boston, like I told you before the interview started, and he played for the Bruins one year, and he was so electric, so much fun to watch. But he was also just a great person off the ice, and I think that's what made him such a special player and such a great player, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's just a class guy all around, and really respectful, and that's something that I admire about him.
Now, before you start off your career playing with the Calgary Royals. So my question to you is, what was your experience like there before heading off to the AJHL?
It was pretty good. I think I played there for my 2 years at Bantam and then 1 year minor midget. It was just pretty good for my development. Played with a lot of good teammates that I talk to this day, and it was just a lot of fun. Yeah, it was just pretty good Bantam and midget experience.
And then you went on to play in the AJHL, like I just mentioned, for the Kenmore Eagles. So how did you get the opportunity to go to the AJHL and play for Kenmore?
Well, it was probably mainly just because my older brother, he had been playing there for one season before I had arrived, and when I was back playing in for the Royals, he was out there, and I would always be watching him. And then the coach would obviously be in contact with him and my parents, and they had had some interest in me, so I went out to their spring camp and their main camp the first season, and then just signed from there, and then was able to join them the next season. And then just playing there for 3 years was awesome. It's like I mentioned, a beautiful place, great place to live, and all the teammates there that I had for those 3 years were amazing, and we had a really great time, and it was a just really good spot to play, probably one of the best in the Alberta League.
Yeah, and looking back at your time in the Alberta Junior Hockey League, what's the best memory you have with Canmore?
I would have to say my second season, we were in the playoffs playing against Drumheller, and it was the first round was a best of 5 series, and we were playing in game 4 at home, and we were down 2-1, and we won it in overtime to send it to game 5, and then we eventually won the series to go on to the second round. But just that one of my teammates, Tian Rask, he scored the overtime winner, and just the entire arena was packed, and it just was electric after that goal.
Now, what's the town of Canmore like? Because I know you're mentioning how it was a beautiful town, but I know most of my listeners probably have never heard of Canmore before. So what's the town like, and what's the hockey culture like in Canmore?
Yeah, it's a decently big town, probably about a size of 20 to 30,000. It's up in the Rocky Mountains in Alberta, 20 minutes away from Banff National Park. Beautiful place. The hockey culture there is really good as well. The community supports the team. It's a community-owned team as well. I think it's the only one in the AJHL that is community-owned. So the community is just huge in keeping the team running and giving it as much support as they can. And then just the local minor hockey association is also run through the Kenmore Eagles program. And I think that really just builds the hockey culture. And being right next to Calgary as well, there's a lot of just hockey fans and just the community that really supports the team, which is really awesome.
Now, how did the AJHL help prepare you for college hockey with Colgate?
I think just one of the biggest things was making the jump from my midget league and then coming into a junior league at 16. It was just a really big jump of, speed, size, skill, and trying to understand that, each league, each year having to get better and having to compete against guys that are bigger and faster and stronger than I am. And then just continuing that mindset up to college and having that goal of always getting better and knowing that each league you go up, the players are going to be better and faster than you. So you got to continue to improve each day.
Now, heading into college, you were drafted by the San Jose Sharks in the 7th round. What was your draft day experience like, and where were you when you found out you were selected? Because I know when you were drafted, it was kind of a unique experience since the draft was all online.
Yeah, the draft, it was online, and it was, I think, in September, where it's usually in June. So I was here at Colgate, and I was doing half and half online classes and half in person. So I just remember when I was in my online Zoom class, always checking a different tab. I had the draft open on another tab, so I was looking at it, just hoping to see my name pop up there. And then it got into like the later rounds, round 6, round 7, had to go to the rink for practice. So then I was actually on the ice, and we were split into 2 separate groups for COVID restrictions. So we had about half the team had just finished up their portion of practice, and they were getting changed in the dressing room. And then the second half went on the ice. So I went on the ice there, and the second group started running out onto the bench, and they all started screaming. And I wasn't totally sure what was going on, but I had a pretty good idea. And then everyone just started cheering and yelling my name. And they were like, "Congrats, Younger, like you got drafted." And they made me do a hot lap around the ice. And at that point, I didn't know who had taken me. No one said the team yet. So I was like, "Yeah, what team took me?" And then they're all like, "San Jose." So that was a pretty cool experience. I think it was once in a lifetime.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to find out with your teammates on the ice. I don't think it gets any better than that.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Now, did you expect San Jose to draft you? Did you have any conversations with them before the draft took place?
Yeah, they were probably one of the teams that I had talked to the most just through like the last couple summers and the months leading up to the draft. So they were one that I was looking out for.
Now, you had the opportunity to participate in the Sharks development camp before the start of this season. So I have to ask you, what was that experience like for you? And what was the coolest thing you remember doing at development camp this summer?
Yeah, that was awesome to head down there and go to the development camp and just visit the city of San Jose. Because I wasn't able to do that after I got drafted because everything was all messed up and I was just beginning my college career. Uh, it was just really cool to be able to visit and meet all the other prospects that are there and meet just the rest of the coaching staff, the scouting staff that I haven't had the chance to meet in person yet. And just be able to compete against guys that are whether playing in the AHL or like first round picks that they had from the past draft. It was really cool and fun to get on the ice with them. And then we went to Oakland A's baseball game one of the later days of the camp, and that was just a really awesome experience. I've only been to two other MLB games in my life, so it was pretty fun to just be there and hang out with all the guys.
Yeah, and what's the city of San Jose like? Just because you've never visited there before previously, you got drafted. So I'll just talk about the city a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We stayed in a hotel that was pretty close to downtown, and it's just awesome. Like I've heard a bunch about Silicon Valley, and just being there was a pretty cool experience. Like walking past buildings that have like the Adobe logo or like Apple and stuff like that. Just something that you don't really see every day. And yeah, it was a pretty awesome city.
Now, I want to transition a little bit back to the college hockey side of things. So, what was your recruitment process like, and why did you choose to play for Colgate versus the schools you might have talked to?
Yeah, recruitment just have been, texting, coaching, or texting with coaches, having phone calls, and when I'm back in Canmore, and there's a AJHL showcase that runs at the beginning of each season, and a lot of scouts come in there to get, a view of a lot of players that they want to look at and they're talking to. So eventually Colgate reached out and they were interested in both me and my brother, and we went down on a fly down after the showcase and just really once we got down to the campus we saw how beautiful it was and just could really see ourselves living here, playing here for 4 years. And I think just the friendliness and the welcomeness of the coaching staff and just pretty much everybody else that was on campus and all the support staff and people that work with the team. They just really drew us in and really gave us an incentive to come play here. And I think we just got here and we immediately knew that we were going to love it.
Now, what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to college hockey? Was it the speed of the game or kind of the physicality since you're going against older players?
I think it was a bit of both. I mean, you learn pretty quick that you're not going to have a lot of time and space out there compared to junior. And if you try a couple, fancy moves at the wrong time, you could be sitting on your ass pretty quick. And then, yeah, just that physicality and stuff like that. So it's just being able to make things at a quicker pace, make fast plays, and then just being able to be strong and sturdy on your feet. Pretty big jump from junior.
Now, during your freshman year, you had a lot of challenges playing just because it was in the middle of the pandemic. So, how did you handle, first of all, playing an inconsistent schedule, but also not playing in front of any fans as well?
Yeah, it was a pretty strange season. Like I mentioned before, just only being able to play against three teams. It got a little bit old. Got the teams were pretty gritty, and we created some pretty good rivalries. So I'm excited to play those teams again this season. And then just having no fans. I mean, it was obviously just a bummer. Like no real noise other than the music that they play in between whistles. So it's been just huge to have fans back this year.
Now, last season, you lost to St. Lawrence in the ECAC semifinals in overtime. What did you take away from that heartbreaking loss that has helped you for this season?
Just probably that things can change in an instant. Like you get one bad bounce and your season's over. Uh, so just being able to, not take anything for granted and just know that any play or anything you make could be just something that turns into, a loss or the end of the season. So just being able to try to make a good play on every time you touch the puck, every time you get on the ice.
Now, I know you've been talking about him throughout the podcast, but you get the chance to play with your older brother, Colton. So my question to you is, what's it like being his teammate in college, and how cool is it for yourself to play with a family member at this high of a level?
Yeah, it's awesome to be playing with him. I also played with him for 2 years in junior, but just playing again with him here at Colgate, it's been a really good experience, and he's just helped me a lot, whether it's been just giving me advice for things to do at the school or helping me pick classes, and then just having him there in the dressing room, and having him through the pandemic was also huge, just because coming down here, all the way across the continent from where I live in Calgary, and having him by my side and being able to have a flying buddy and coming down on flights with him. And then it just makes it feel a little more at home.
Yeah, and I have to ask, is there any sibling rivalry that happens during the season, like who can score the most goals, or you guys kind of just leave it to yourselves?
Uh, Not really much of a rivalry. I mean, we support each other. We want both of us to, do as well as possible. Sometimes I guess we'll try to beat each other out, whether it's in points or just doing good on the ice. But definitely in practice, I think sometimes we compete hard against each other more so than the other players on our team. And that just goes back to when we were young, just playing on the backyard rink and always competing and battling against each other.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, where I ask you some non-hockey questions just to get to know you a little bit more. So my first question to you is, if you could choose to do anything for a day that is non-hockey related, what would you do and why?
Um, yeah, that's a hard question. I've been thinking about that one, but I kind of thought back. I saw this video that Dude Perfect posted on YouTube a while ago where they visited Cape Town in South Africa, and they just did a lot of cool stuff. They went like parasailing, hang gliding, bungee jumping, scuba diving. So probably just being able to go visit like a really awesome place and just do a lot of, amazing things, and being able to have like the thrill of going bungee jumping or parasailing across just a huge city. That would be pretty awesome.
Now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Um, Maybe I would think maybe like I was gonna say like Jerome McGinley, just from the way that he is and just growing up, he was my favorite player. But I'd have to say Tiger Woods, just an unreal athlete and someone that I would love to have a conversation with.
Yeah, especially right now since he's trying to get back to playing. It'll be cool to kind of hear his story, because I feel like he's dealt with so much adversity and he's still playing golf at a high level, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, he's been just a lot of setbacks so far, and just really hoping that he can be playing again. And yeah, just the legendary status that he has. I think I'd just love to be able to sit down with him and just talk with him for even if just an hour. That'd be amazing.
Now, what music do you like to listen to, whether it's before a game or just on a general basis?
I can kind of listen to a bunch of different stuff. Would depend on how I'm feeling, depend on the day, whether it be, pop, 2000s rock, EDM, just like some slow, chill music. But I think just the artists that I listen to most would be Calvin Harris, Coldplay, Kygo, and Louis the Child. So yeah, just probably like pop and just relaxing, chill music.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I have like a playlist of each genre of music, so whatever mood I'm in, I can just go to that playlist. I don't know if you do the same thing or not.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
Oh yeah, I don't understand how some people can just be into one genre of music. I feel like it's important to branch out.
Yeah, you got to have just different variety. You can't listen to the same stuff all day or else it'll just get boring.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Now let's ask about some of your teammates. So who's the funniest teammate you have at Colgate?
For sure, Anthony Stark, number 3 on our team. He's just one of those guys that, whatever he does, he just makes it funny. And a lot of the boys there, they always pull pranks on him. He always pulls pranks on everyone else. And he's my stallmate. So we sit next to each other in the dressing room, and we're always making jokes and just having a lot of fun before games and at practices. So yeah, he's a pretty funny guy.
Have you ever been a victim of any of his pranks or not yet?
No, not yet. I'm in his good books, but yeah, hopefully that doesn't change.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't change as well. Now, who is the best trash talker on the team? Like, who has the best chirps during games?
Ooh, I don't know. Our coach doesn't like us to chirp during games. He wants us to focus, but I would have to say probably Ryan McGuire. He's a freshman this year, and yeah, he just says some pretty funny, pretty outrageous stuff. All the boys are always kind of giggling also when he says some chirps too. So yeah, he's also a funny guy. He's got some good chirps.
Now, who has the best style on the team besides yourself, obviously?
Um, I would have to go with Ross Mitten. Uh, I don't know, he's just always looking pretty fresh and yeah, always looking good.
Now, last non-hockey question is, what sports do you like to watch besides hockey?
I like to watch some golf, baseball. Um, those are pretty much the two main ones. But yeah, hockey is definitely number one.
What baseball team do you follow, especially in Canada where there's only the Blue Jays?
Yeah, I like to watch the Blue Jays and I also watch the Atlanta Braves. And you know they're pretty good this year, won the World Series. But yeah, I like those two teams.
Now, back to some hockey questions. Now, my first question to you is, what advice would you give a younger player who's trying to pursue a career in Division I college hockey?
Um, Probably just don't focus too much on how you're doing right now, whether you're in Pee Wee, Bantam, junior, or if you're even college age and still trying to play professional somewhere. Like, don't really worry about whether you're getting a lot of points right now or you're having success. Just continue to work on your own game, continue to improve, work on your own skills, and eventually, like, things right now um, will be forgotten. People won't be worrying about how many points you had back in junior or bantam, like when you're playing in NHL. It's more about what you're doing when you get to that age compared to how well you're doing right now. So don't be focused up in how well you're doing and how many points you may or may not be getting at a young age. Just continue to grow and continue to improve and just become a better player, and then it'll help you down the road.
Now, do you have any shout outs you'd like to give before the interview ends to your teammates that we might have not mentioned throughout the interview, or any family members or friends?
Um, Shout out to Carter Guylander, goalie on our team. Back-to-back shutouts last weekend. Shout out to my younger brother Kyle, playing on Canmore. Hoping he can hopefully come join us at Colgate before my brother and I have to graduate. And then yeah, just shout out to my parents as well for being able to raise 5 kids and putting up with us every year and helping us to get to where we are right now. They've been huge in just my life and the life of my siblings, and they yeah, I love them a lot. So shout out to them.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Alex. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to myself. I wish you all the best for the rest of the season. I know you're going to do great, and I can't wait to see you play on Saturday at UConn. I will be in attendance for that game, so excited to see you play in person for the first time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
No problem. Take care. Now, one thing we do with